Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Man, I go hard to that beat. You know, a buddy of mine made that for me, and that's when I had Kenny Anderson on, and he clipped it, and I didn't even ask for it. He just sent it to me, and I was like, oh,
fire.
This is my new intro. So, what's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. I'm also the president, El Prezi, of the Off the Ball Network. And today, we're going to talk about the New York Knickerbockers, and I got a couple dope guests joining me today, a first timer on the Off the Ball podcast. Well, first, let's introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Triple M. What's going on, bro?
Yo, what's going on, everybody, man? Salute to the Prezi for having me on today talking Knicks. And, of course, I'm here with my brother Omar. It's like the heavy hitters right now. We're missing a couple people, but it's the heavy hitters Knicks content on the Off the Ball. So I'm excited to be talking Knicks today with you guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said, the first timer on the Off the Ball podcast. He's written a lot of great articles at the Off the Ball Network, so make sure to check that out. My guy Omar, what's good, bro?
What's good, Prez? What's good, Triple M? I got the invite to the big leagues, so I'm pretty excited to talk some Knicks with you guys for sure.
No. Appreciate everything you've done so far for the network. Written a lot of dope articles and all that. But let's get right into it, guys. Our New York Knicks. I mean, look, we're smiling. We're smiling. Triple M, we haven't done a lot of shows where we smiling talking about the New York Knicks. That we've done. It's always been something, negative, something, but things are looking good right now. We lose one game and then the world ends, but right now we are looking really good. I mean, expectations have probably exceeded a little bit more than we expected. Right now, sitting at 24-19, sitting in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, and it has been a nice stretch of basketball. Maybe not too long ago, we were talking about an 8-game win streak, and everything was just really rolling with this ball club. So, Triple M, what has been for you the biggest thing you've seen in this last month and a half or two with the Knicks playing really good basketball? What have you seen that has really got this team rolling right now?
Well, I think it stretches back to like that Dallas game where kind of after the game, there were even reports where like people are starting to look at Tibbs, So it all started when Tibbs started making those changes. I mean, he just finally went in with his guys, 9-man rotation, McBride, and the team has kind of just rallied around it. I feel like for the Knicks, they've been blessed with not being injured. You look around the league, everybody's been getting hurt. A lot of players missing games, and the Knicks were relatively healthy. These last few games, they've missed RJ and Jaylen, of course. But I mean, Randle's been there every game. Quickly's been there every game. So like these guys, they're getting help with no injuries. And also, I don't know what's going on. I feel like every time the Knicks play somebody, they're missing their guy. I went out to Denver and I saw the Knicks out there in Denver, and Denver was missing Jokic, and we could go on and on of all the Knicks teams that they played without their guys. But listen, that 9-man rotation was key. It really set it off. And just, of course, Jaylen Brunson, man. That man, you got an all-star. I know we're going to talk about it, but all-star Jaylen Brunson and Julius, Omar's man. I mean, Omar was the only one defending Julius, and you just have to say what's up to Julius. But yeah, it's a lot of things, bro.
Yeah. What about you, Omar?
I mean, it starts and ends with Jaylen Brunson, right? We've been fans of this team for many, many years. I had an argument with somebody the other day. I think this is probably the best point guard we've seen here since Derek Harper, and like was
wait, you're saying Chris Duhon isn't on that list, man?
Hey, man, Raymond Felton, my guy, but
respect Stephon Marbury.
I respect Steph, but I think Jaylen is a notch above in terms of what he can do, right? Winning player who's just putting this team on his back, hits clutch free throws last night against Washington. And that's what it starts. And with him, Julius has kind of not had to have that pressure of being some weird initiator all the time. And he's played better. You know, he's had 15 of his last 16 games had double doubles, and RJ's played well. He's coming back off the injury, and yeah, but like Triple M said, it's all about staying healthy, being healthy at the right time, and you know they're rolling right now, 2 games out of the 5th seed, and yeah, I mean you can't really argue with what you've seen, and it all starts with Jaylen Brunson, leadership, you know, and steady hand at the point guard position, most important position on the basketball floor, in my opinion. So. Yeah, that's what it is. It's all Jaylen Brunson to me. You know, it trickles down to everybody else from there.
Triple M, Omar, especially Triple M. You've been on the show a bunch of times. How many times have I screamed, yelled, hollered, we need a point guard? Desperately, right? Yeah. Desperately. And like the draft, I'm trying to find our next point guard. I'm telling you about this guy. I'm like, and no, they don't get it, but they get it. And I remember, you know, around the time, you know, the draft, and I was really upset. I was like, if we can get Brunson and then we draft a couple guys that I like, this is a home run off season. Like they get Brunson and then they don't do anything to draft, and that kind of soured me. I hate when you know they didn't take anyone. Like it went from 11 to nothing. So that kind of soured me. But then as I because I went on your show and said I was pissed that they didn't take no one, and I kind of messed up. But then as I simmered down and all that, I was like, okay, we got the point guard. Well, we're good there. Like regardless of he's not really a point guard, but I don't really care. We have someone at the lead guard position that we can trust with the ball in their hand. Regardless if they're going to average 8, I don't really care about that. Today's point guards are different breeds, right? So, but it's just having that guy that you can trust with the ball in their hand and late in the game that could get you a bucket. And we got that. It's something we've been. How long have we been clamoring for a point? Like this is New York City. That's what we're known for. We just had a documentary about point guards. You know, the greatest point guards, and we don't have one. We haven't had one since. Like it's a Derek Harper. Like you want to count Steph, but that was more of the name, and it didn't really. You know, there was no substance to it really. You know, on the court, it didn't really lead into it. You know, and then we had like, you know, Band-Aids. Every year is a Band-Aid here, Band-Aid there, you know. And it's like, when are we going to like take this serious and get that lead guard position? And we got it. And we've seen and I still can't believe Dallas just let him go and how they handled that situation. Dallas has to just be
malpractice, man. That's malpractice on their end. It doesn't
make sense how they messed that up royally. And it's for our benefit. So thank you, Dallas, for doing that because you got us our point guard. But to me, that's the biggest. Like Julius, obviously playing to what he's doing right now is tremendous and all, and that's great. But like you guys said, it's Jaylen Brunson.
Yeah, I mean, we will have, I think, maybe 10 wins, 11 wins without Brunson. You look in the fourth quarter. I mean, we just run it through Brunson. Like it's
he's
just
one of the best
really
clutch players in the league. He's one of the best clutch players.
I was looking up a stat. I think 95 points, clutch points when the game is 5 points or less with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, man. That Captain Clutch right there, man. It's been amazing to have. And finally, it's just not running through Randle. Still, the fourth quarter offense leaves a lot to be desired for sure. But you know when we need a bucket, Brunson is going to give it to them.
Right. 100%. And like I said, it's not, you know, It's not just seeing Julius Randle, and yes, we're still going to get Julius Randle doing Julius Randle things, right? That's just going to happen. But I mean, we could. It's been more tolerant because we know we have, you know, Jaylen to kind of, you know, take the ball in his hand and do his thing, and like his ability for a guy who's not athletic and is 6'1", short, like for him to his footwork, his craftiness, his stop and shift, his stopping, and a little jumper he has around like below the free throw line that he always hits. He stops and turns and hits it. And I think it's not just getting a point guard. It's getting a guy who knows how to win. This guy's a winner. 2-time national champion, player of the year, goes to Dallas, was a second round, which is still crazy to me that he was a second round pick. Like I think people just looked at the measurables and they said, oh, he's a 6'1" unathletic guard. We don't know if he's a point guard. You don't know if it's a 2 guard. But sometimes you just be like, can you ball? Man can ball. And, you know, it's just all that for a guy that's just not athletic and all that. We see the John Morants and all these type of point guards that are so athletic and freaky and all that, and he's doing it below the rim, you know? It's just real. And I just think his team rocks with him. I just think
Yeah.
for a guy that comes in and just commands respect, and that RJ's rock with him, Obi's rock, everyone's rock with him. I think that's
We've
so
seen him with
important.
Quickly, man. Quickly
Yes.
has really kind of gone under his wing and become, just a more cerebral, I think, type player. He's a lot more, you're not taking stupid shots like he has in his first couple of years where like all
Mhm.
these heat check threes he used to do.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
really
for
see that
sure.
anymore. And he's taking good shots. He's playing better defense. And that's the Brunson effect, because
Mhm.
they've kind of clicked immediately and they play well on the court together as well, which is another plus.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Yesterday he was posting up Denny Advia, and it was a mismatch. They was looking for to double. Like, where do you see that posting up 6'1" Jaylen Brunson? I think Advia is 6'6", and he's just hitting that shot, that fall away baby money, making money. But listen, Jaylen Brunson signing should at least show a lot of people that we have to chill a little bit because a lot of people didn't like that signing, man. Like a lot of people
Mhm.
thought one, he was overpaid. Two, we have Quickly. Like, why are we getting Brunson when we have Quickly? There was three. It was okay. We just punted a draft pick basically to get Brunson because that's what was led to believe the Knicks had to clear cap to give Brunson more money. So
Mhm.
it shows like now we all love him and now we get an all-star chance already going on. So it just tells us like, listen, this front office. They've done a lot of questionable moves. They've done a lot of things, but that Brunson signing shows that we gotta let things work. Like Chris, you've been upset about that draft thing, and it is questionable, especially when you mentioned these guys, Duran, man, from Dallas. I mean, think
Mhm.
about that. We would have had that
Yeah.
beast coming up, or Easton from the Rockets. I mean, you look at that guy play defense, and that perimeter defense. Tibbs would love that guy.
He would love
That
that.
will be one of those guys, So there is guys that you'd be like, or even AJ Griffin to Leicester. So he just
Mhm.
flipped right in for the Hawks.
Jalen Williams on Oklahoma City would have
Yeah,
been
we could
great.
go on and on. I don't want to get Chris started. I don't want to get
Don't get me
Chris
started,
started.
bro, because I'm gonna get. Don't get me. Bring me back
But
to.
we have to see what those lottery picks do now. Now as the year you see Detroit, they're gonna be bad this year, but if they end up with one of these three picks, I mean that team is gonna be good. And that pick that the Knicks have, is gonna convey. And the Wizards, they look like they can make the playoffs. With Bradley Beal if he wasn't hurt, so that's gonna convey sooner or later. So we gotta see, man. There's a lot. There's a lot in Knicks land. I love it right now. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. So guys, give me another player or two that you feel like has really stepped up big time this season. Omar.
Deuce McBride for me. Defensively, this team looks so much different. Now, offensively, we understand the limitations. His shot hasn't really
Yeah.
come around yet. He's dropping 40 in the G League, but, could barely score 8 points in the NBA, which shows you the difference, right? But
Yeah.
defensively, he has impacted the way, like, every time, like, once a game, you feels like he just has a free steal that just pops up and
Mhm.
leads to 2 points. And that's impactful. That's going to allow the rest of the team to play defense. I mean, you're seeing Julius play hard defense now in spots. Obviously, Julius is going to Julius things. We already said that. You're seeing it just affect this perimeter defense. It's no longer a thing where it's a cakewalk when you have somebody like Evan Fournier on the perimeter. You got a guy like Deuce McBride who's going to get up in your face. And, he's
Mhm.
really impressed me. And again, I know the shot hasn't been there. The three hasn't been there for him. But I do think it is going to come around. And he's just a winning player to me. And he's shown that he should have been getting minutes long before he got minutes. But yeah, for me, for sure, it's Deuce, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 24 and 19 and just exceeding expectations all over, I think it's hard to cut players because you talk about Quickly. That's a guy that's really improved. Just stepped in when Brunson got hurt. Just stepped in when RJ got hurt. And talk about Julius Randle. He's gonna be second All Star possibly. He's just been night in, night out. He's been a beast for us. But I think I got to give the title to Mitchell Robinson. I won't lie to you guys because
Yeah.
the defense that he's really locked in. Number one, the foul trouble are no longer a problem for him. He avoids those silly fouls where he's like, Mitch, what are you doing? We need you out there. And the notion that he's injury prone, I never really liked it because it was that 1 year where he missed games with the fractured foot. But health as well. He's only missed, I think, 7 games. I'm looking here. That's pretty decent.
Yeah.
The way he plays, that's pretty decent. I mean, the man is going everywhere, jumping everywhere. And then that offensive rebound, sometimes I feel like the Knicks' best offense is when they miss, because Mitch is going to be right there cleaning it up.
Second chance points, yeah.
Yes, and he's getting everything. I saw Fred Katz say that people around the league saying this is like one of the best offensive rebounding big men since Dennis Rodman. That might be a little stretch, but
He's
these
the
are
best in the league, though.
these
right
are
now. I mean,
these are people talking. I mean, I'm sure he's talking to smart people. He's a reporter, you know what I mean? So he's just really improved in a lot of facets of the game, and he's so lanky that it's just he's everywhere, you know. And I always think that Hawks series that the Knicks lost, it would have been a different series if Mitchell Robinson was there.
100%.
We had Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson. I mean, Trae Young was just cooking them up whenever he wanted to, and nobody could have stopped Capella.
Capella too, yeah.
Yeah, Capella's grabbing all the rebounds. So I feel like with Mitch back here in the middle right now and really locked in, like he's really locked in. He had 20 rebounds the other day. You know, he doing like little no-look passes sometimes. So he's really figuring out. He's having fun out there. He's like one of the craziest Knicks. You see, you hear that Julius Randle story. He just went to Dallas. He's just out there, man. So I definitely have to give my kudos to Mitchell Robinson for this.
He's second in the league in offensive rebounds per game behind, I think, Steven Adams. So like that's I think we're top 5 and also in rebounds per game. So that's helped because that gives you second chances, you know, and allows you to probably take a little bit more shots because you know you could clean up on the boards. Because we got Julius Randle's averaging 10 rebounds a game too. So we got 2 guys that are just grabbing the boards. You know, RJ can get some rebounds too. So, but I think once I know a lot of people freaked out once they heard 9-man rotation with the Knicks. They're like, because like, oh no, Cam ain't gonna play, and you know how there's a big Cam hive, big Cam hive,
huge,
big Cam hive that like they see him not getting minutes. And yes, we can probably it's probably a little crazy that he's not getting any minutes, but like we talked about a little bit, before the show, there comes a point in time as a player that you gotta have, look inside and be like, what am I doing wrong? Because when we think about Cam Reddish, and I'm a Duke fan, I've been watching Cam since even high school in Pennsylvania, and super talented. You look at his mixtape, you're gonna be like, whoa, number 1 player in the country, goes to Duke, first one to commit. And I've said this so many times. Like then RJ reclassifies, goes to Duke. Then Zion comes. And you know what comes with Zion. Like even you guys all heard of Zion in high school, and then it elevated at Duke. The adjustments for Cam we know the talent, but there's more to it than talent in the league. It's the mental factor. It just seems like he hasn't been able to figure that out, to adjust to things change. Things change all the time. It happens in life, and it definitely happens in basketball. Just seems like he hasn't, and it also feels like we blame organizations for why Cam hasn't been the player we think he can be. We blame Duke, we blame Atlanta, and we definitely blaming the New York Knicks and Tom Thibodeau for why he hasn't. But there's a reason why he hasn't played and all that. Like there's more to it and all that. And, people freaked out when they went to the 9-man rotation and he wasn't going to be a part of that. But it's shown that it's worked because they, you get more quick, especially Quentin Grimes getting healthy, getting Deuce in there, Mitch being healthy, that defense is elevated. And I know Cam can help on it, but there's just so much inconsistency there that they're not seeing in practice and all that. That's why he's not playing, in my opinion.
Chris, let me ask you something before you go on. Just going back to Cam, you say you've been watching him for a long time, for forever. That thing that he's missing, like he's 22 years old now, 23 years old. Like, do you think he will find it? And do you think like what is it that you think that needs to happen for this kid? Like you said, his mixtape is crazy. And then Anthony Edwards said the other day the hardest person he ever had to guard was Cam Reddish. Now you're talking about one of the most exciting players right now, young players in the league, and Anthony Edwards, he says that, and it's like, whoa, like Cam Reddish, hardest person you ever had to guard. So like, what is it that you think? Do you think he can find it, or what do you think needs to happen for him to find it?
We see this a lot. Like I watch a thing on YouTube called Stunted Growth, and I think Cam Reddish is going to be the next person on that YouTube. And you just go on that channel, and whoever was listening, watching YouTube, if you guys haven't seen it, go and watch that, and we're going to see a million guys who are like Cam Reddish on that. They're going to be like, man, that dude was in high school. He was a monster. And you hear all-stars be like, yo, that guy in high school and college, that dude was that dude. But in the league, they just couldn't figure it out. And sometimes it's really hard to figure out why. They just can't adjust. They just don't know how to figure it out. There's habits and all that. And certain guys, when you're the guy in high school, like, and you see this a lot, the guys, if you're the guy in high school and then you go to college and now you're not the guy. Now you're the third option. And it's hard to adjust. And you go to the NBA, and you go to Atlanta, and there's Trae Young, and there's John Collins and all. Then you go to the Knicks. You're with the Knicks, and there's Randle, there's RJ. You're just RJ. You kind of want to get away from RJ because not think that's your boy, but it's like, I want to get away from that. I want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And then bam, then you're hearing Zion rumors and all. It's like, yo, I don't want to go to this again. And all that stuff, I think, got into his head, and I think bothers him. And then when he gets in the game, he wants to take over, but the shot selection's not there, and that's not what you want. That's not, especially in the Tibbs, you know, how Tibbs plays. That's not what he wants and all that. So it's just, can he get it? There's still a role for him to be like a Malik Beasley type, and I think that's maybe what is that type of player where you're just a bucket getter off the bench, and that's valuable. Guys like Malik Beasley are very valuable in this league. I think ultimately that's what he'll be, but he still has to figure some things out to even be that type of player. You know, and I don't think it's going to happen in New York. It's clearly not going to happen in New York. They don't. It's definitely not happening here. So, you know, wherever the next place is, he's going to have to figure it out there, because then it's like, okay, if the next place doesn't work out,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, we really cannot blame the team now. Now it's on you, and then when it's on you, then it's like, okay, that's not good. And then guess where you end up? You end up overseas and all that.
Stunted growth. We gotta check it out. Lenny Cook.
Stunted growth. They got Lenny Cook, and you go watch it for hours. I literally, like a couple of days ago, with this hours and hours of content.
Oh man, that's fire.
Guy produces, and it's all about guys who are like Cam Reddish, superstars in high school, the guy in college, or had like a little, you know, success in the league, but just never lived up to that potential. Cam's going to be, I think the guy has a video on Cam ready to go, or has one like talking about it. So, but if he's not, Cam's going to be up there, because we're going to look back and be like, man, that was the number one kid in the country, and just couldn't figure, has a talent, 6'9". I mean, I remember someone saying he got T-Mac vibes to him. And at times you'll be like, you'll see that too. And that's not a crazy thing. Like, you'll see T-Mac, you're like, whoa, I see it. Just, it's not consistent enough, and it's just not there. So Cam's gotta figure things out, but it's unfortunately it will not be as a New York Knick.
Nah, definitely not. I mean, it'll be malpractice if he's on this team past the trade deadline. We have to do right.
He's in a contract year. There's no point. You know, you get something for him if you can. You know, a second round pick, whatever the case may be. It just hasn't worked, and like you mentioned, Chris, it's just. He just doesn't have whatever it is. He thinks maybe that he's more than he actually is. You know, there's nothing wrong with being Malik Beasley, to your point. And, you know, the funny thing about Knick fans is, like, you know, we're playing all these young guys. You know, we're probably one of the youngest rotations in the league. Julius is our oldest rotation player, you know, barring any injury and Derrick Rose jumps in. And they're still going to complain, well, this one guy I really like happens to be on the bench. And I'm just like, yo, like, what do you want, man? Like, the oldest player in our rotation is 28 years old. Like, we're a young team, you know, and it's just like Cam he doesn't have the coach's confidence. It's as simple as that. And whether that, I know there was rumors about him getting traded to the Lakers, maybe. I don't know what that deal looks like to get him in LA, but he's going to go somewhere else. And, you know, it should be a wake-up call. You know, it's like, all right, this is the second team I flamed out at. And, you know, I got to do some shit before my career is railroaded, and I'm over there playing in Milan with Kemba Walker, you know, and, you know, that's kind of like what he has to look at right now.
And you saw with Dennis Smith Jr. this year, there is a path to like that. You know, Dennis Smith flamed out on a couple teams, even here in New York. I mean,
we said the same thing about Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah.
We said the same exact thing about Dennis Smith Jr.
He found a home in Charlotte where he was balling in the beginning of the year, you know, and he's still been doing his thing. So you got to find your role in the NBA. You have to find your role. You're Malik Beasley. That was such a good point, because you just have to find your role, bro.
Star in your role. And I mean, that's a whole other podcast in itself, as far
Yeah.
as, especially we see, like I mentioned, high school kids, stars, and everybody wants to be LeBron and KD and Jason Tatum. But guess what? There's you if you star in that 6-man role or come off the bench, you can make a lot of money in this league. We see guys that are coming off the bench or role players, third, fourth, fifth options, making $20 million a year. And I just think some guys they don't know how to adjust to going from being a guy in that. And I think that's kind of what Cam has been going through. But time's ticking for him.
Yeah.
I know he's still young and all that, and it's kind of crazy to think that time's ticking. But like we see guys like this all the time, and then you're like, well, yo, where did this guy go? And then you're like, oh, he's playing for the Olympiacos in Greece, or he's playing in the Spanish league, like he's playing in Turkey. Like
Yeah.
what happened? Like, and it happens just like that. So I hope for Cam's sake, as being a Duke fan, I'll root for him. Hope he has success. It's just not gonna happen in New York.
Yeah.
Fortunate, and fans could scream, to the Garden rooftops, and they could scream at Dolan when they're at the game. Why isn't he playing? He ain't playing.
Man, it's
That's
got
it.
Frank energy, man. It's like
Oh,
very
man.
it has Frank
Oh,
energy.
man.
Like,
It's very
oh, this guy could do this. Why isn't he playing? Blah blah blah. And I was just like,
Yeah.
yo, your team is 5 games above 500, playing good ball, playing good defense, and you're just mad because your agenda is rotting over there on the bench.
And that's going to transition to my next point is that because you still see people mad. There's people mad that we're winning basketball games, and you hear the tank crowd like, oh, like why are we playing? And I heard someone say yesterday like Jaylen Brunson's playing like Emmanuel Mudiay, and I was like, yo, what is going on here? Like it was like the first quarter I was like, yo, and I was like, what is going on right now? Like the takes and all that, but like to that we're 5 games over and people are still mad. And listen, I get a lot of the moves that we haven't made in the past, but we can go through that. And I'm still mad at some of the draft blunders and all that we've done. But you know what? Like they say, sometimes you got to get over the past and just deal. We can't control as fans. We can't control what they do. We have to just whatever they put on the court is what we got to see and what we have to root for. And they're giving us more than we're expected. Like Triple M, we talked about like I said, this team would probably be around 500, maybe a little bit below, and they still could be that. But this team they're 5 games over 500, guys. Like without a superstar, right? We got Julius Randle playing. We might have 2 all-stars. We got Quentin Grimes playing good ball. We got Manuel Quickley's playing better and all that. Sometimes I'm just like, instead of being mad about your agenda not being right and all that, let's just be like, yo, we're 5 games over, and right now we're not even in the play-in. Like that's a win so far. Like the playoff start right now, there's no playing. We're in. Like we got the 6th seed. So like, how do you feel about people who still get angry that we're winning basketball games simply because they rather be in the chase to get Victor Wembanyama, which we all know we went through with the Zion sweepstakes. It doesn't mean just because you lose a certain amount of games, does not mean nothing. We could lose 78 games and still have the same chance as the team with 58 losses, and then get the 3rd pick still again. So like, why would we want to really go to that? And you don't have to tank in order to be good too. That's a whole nother thing. But like, how do you feel about people in their agendas trying to, not being satisfied, so far?
Here's the thing. Okay. It has been 50 years since we won the title. Okay. I was not alive. None of us were alive for that. Okay. And we have these fans acting like we have championship expectations every year just because the team plays in New York City.
Yeah.
And I get it, big market, whatever, but can we humble ourselves a little bit? You're just kind of like, well, oh man, making the playoffs isn't good enough for me. Since when? This team has been ass for the past 20 years outside of a couple of years. The COVID year and the mellow year in playoffs, mellow couple years in the playoffs. So it's like people just want to keep on driving us. Oh, we got to get Wembanyama or we got to get Scoot Henderson or whoever the case may be. And willingly being miserable about winning basketball games. Like, why are you choosing to be so miserable about a team that's playing a brand of basketball that New Yorkers should love? They're playing defense. Julius and Jaylen, they're playing with toughness. RJ playing with toughness. And you just see these people just like, well, yeah, but I wanted them to tank this year so that we could be in line for this player or that player So any win is a bad thing to me. Like, oh, you guys are so happy with mediocrity. Like, dude, all we've known is below mediocrity and incompetence. So, pardon me for having a good time in a 4-game win streak or a 5-game win streak, because
you don't want to see us happy.
Yeah, it's like you just want to be miserable. Like you just want to watch losing basketball constantly. Like I understand the notion of, well, we have to consolidate and make a play for a bigger name, right? Or a higher elite level talent if we want to take it to the next level. I totally understand that. But if you want to get that player, you have to show organizational competence, and that's winning basketball games. That's how the Nets got KD and Kyrie. Whatever you think about that signing now, at the time, the thought was, oh, they built up, a winning program over there, and now they're going to get the guy. You don't just get the guy to save New York. That's not how it works. Carmelo.
It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked for us.
Yeah, it's not how. Like nobody comes here because it's too hard. It's you're going in there and it's you're starting at the ground floor, and you don't have anybody to help you, so to speak. And these players today, they're not trying to do that. They could get marketable anywhere. Like John Morant's in the smallest market in the country. Zion Williamson in the second smallest market in the country, and they're fine. They're getting Gatorade commercials. They're on Instagram promoting shit.
Shoe deals.
They're getting shoe deals. They're getting exclusive shoes. If you could ball, you could ball. It doesn't matter what city you're in now, right? Yep. So I think ultimately these people just kind of like you want. Oh, the intention's good, right? You want the team to win a championship, but at the same time, it is a process. You don't just microwave a dynasty overnight. It's not how that works. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about acquisitions later, but just enjoy the team when they're playing good, sound basketball. Hope that they make a good couple deals. The Brunson signing looks like it was a home run. Obviously we talked about that earlier, and you're just hoping that the next move is also a home run.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna play a little villain against you guys. So you talk about just. Look, we don't want to talk too much about Tiz, but you look at the coach. I mean, playing these guys 40, 42 minutes, 43 minutes every game. I mean, that's just unsustainable.
Let me pause you real quick. Do you know that no Knicks player is in the top 20 in the league in minutes per game right now?
Top 20?
None of them are in the top 20.
I will have to double check that.
Double check
That doesn't sound.
I know. I couldn't believe it either.
Yeah,
but,
that's crazy to me.
But I think
it got to be like by points though. It got to be like 0.2 maybe.
I'm looking right now. All right, I'm gonna look.
Let me see. Who leads the league? Give me the league.
You got Luka.
All right, you got Luka.
OG, Fred VanVleet, Tatum, Kyrie, Mitch, Murray, Bridges.
Nick Nurse is a war criminal, guys.
Three
guys in the top 5.
Edwards, Simons, DeRozan, Grant, KD, Damian Lillard, Darius Garland, Trae Young, Shea, and Zach LaVine. That's the top 20. And then at the 23rd is Julius Randle.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys you mentioned are probably their number one options on their team. So, but the Knicks are just playing
for the most part. Yeah, for the most part, it's all one or two options. I mean, Fred VanVleet, you can say is like a third or but for the most part.
But Nick Nurse, Omar said he's a war criminal right now.
Well, that's why and that's why we're seeing maybe Toronto and why they're struggling a lot this season.
But just the coach, you could tell you've seen this everywhere. Tips gone, like the team reaches a place and then you got to get rid of him. So people complaining about the coach, I mean that's a valid reasoning, and also look, I don't follow
any favors. Let's not.
Yeah, exactly. The blown leads are getting crazy, and he just doesn't do in-game adjustments sometimes. And it's like even the Quickly and Grimes thing the other day. Grimes was having a great game, and then he just put him in with like a minute to go. But let's not go too much crazy in Tiz because we could go. That's a whole show in itself.
But the blown leads in the league have happened all year. Like it's just a
weird year.
It's just been a crazy year in the league where, like, obviously we've seen some rule adjustments with the take foul being taken out. So it's been a lot easier for teams to come. Like 20-point leads are like
5 threes. That's 5 possessions.
That's a couple possessions, and you're back in the game. So like. I know people get upset about the big leads being blown, but it's happened. It's a thing that's across the league, that we're seeing a lot. So like, and there's been plenty of times.
Now, that's what
it's been plenty of times that we've came back from down big. So like, it goes hand in hand,
But it's happening a lot with us. It's happening a lot. Like every game. I think it's like every game.
The game of runs. The NBA is a game of runs. No lead is safe in the NBA. No
Yeah.
lead is safe in the NBA.
But yeah, just with the plain little devil advocate as well. The Knicks had the chance to get their star. They didn't. That's still TBD. You take out the Jaylen Brunson signing, and this front office hasn't signed anybody good ever. Kemba, Evan, the rolling it back. So people have their reason. And talking about the draft, the tanking. The thing about this year, I'm not even up to the draft like you, Chris, but I know about the Scoot Henderson, the Jackson, the Thompson brothers. I mean, this draft, like if you bad on this draft, like you can pick up an asset. But the Knicks have 2 draft picks, and they've done a great job drafting. So you would trust them. Yeah, you'll have to see. But then that's again like even this year, we try to move up to get Ivy. Some teams don't. It takes 2 to tango. And some teams they just fall in love with a basketball player and they're like, nah, man, you can't. But if you really zoom out though, like you guys said it, you have to enjoy good basketball right now, and we just haven't seen it. I was on a space and somebody was like, "Why you guys are the new thing right now is shaking it, right? I don't know. They saying it's shaking it right now. So whenever you root for the Knicks, you're shaking it. So whatever is the case, so they're like, you guys are shaking it, and we'll be eliminated in the second round. And I'm like, it's been 10 years since we've been in the second round. I would love to get.
Let me get to the second round.
And then we can.
And you guys said it, like the free agent class is weak, but it just takes that one player to say trade me here. We still have all those assets that we almost traded for Spider Mitchell. Like we still have
thought he was a Knick. He thought,
you could argue they're looking better. Quickly is looking like a better asset. McBride, you see what he can offer a team. Before we used to sell them to the unknown. Even Grimes is a very good asset. So we still have all these assets where it just takes that one guy to be like, yo, take me there, trade me there. And that's what it is. So the Knicks, I think the fans, since social media and everything, every day we zooming in. So it's like you look at the ceiling for this team, and it's understandable where you know that we're not gonna win a championship this year or even make it far in the playoffs. We have a definitely a cap. But if you just zoom out a little bit, it's not bad. It's not bad, and that's why I'm happy. I'm already a positive Knicks fan, but now I'm extra positive because, like, we still in a great position, and this season is looking good, man. We're seeing players that are long-term keeps, like Brunson, like Quickly. These guys are talented.
Yeah, and there's 2 ways to look at it, and I get, in a way, the side of people that are like, okay, we're winning, but we're still not a championship team, and we're still like mid, right? We keep going. We hear that. Right. We hear the word mid a lot, and you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in that middle, right? Like where the Pistons were, all those years, a few years back when they had Blake, they're mid, and in Memphis before they got the resurgence of Ja, they were always on that, like they're just mid, and like they're capped out of how good they could be. So that part I understand it, but trading away all your good players and thinking that that's going to be the solution, and we'll just get a top 3 pick, and then that's how we're gonna. First of all, you got to make sure you pick the right, because just simply because you're a top 3 pick does not mean that you're going to find that that guy's going to change your franchise. So that's another thing, and so I get that side, but then I'm also on the other side, like we've been used to losing for a long time. We've been the butt of jokes, and fans have complained about the media and how they treat the Knicks. Well, how you stop the media from bashing the Knicks?
You win.
Game. I listen to podcasts all day and all I hear is, guys, the Knicks are pretty fun. This team's pretty good. And people cry about, they don't talk about that. They don't talk about that. And if you actually listen to the media, they're praising the New York Knicks right now.
A lot of them, yeah.
They really are. People look. People like, oh, no.
Like Zach Lowe loves the Knicks.
Omar, you brought it up. I just listened to that. He's like,
yeah.
The Knicks are like one of my fun. And I just listened to Game Theory with Sam.
That was a good one.
He just had Sam Vecine, who covers the draft and all that, and he was just on, and they're like, I think they're my favorite team to watch, behind like I forgot what other team he talked about, but like they're fun. So
they said play. Top 6. They said playoffs. They said playoffs.
The media is talking good about us. So, and this is what we wanted. We complained that the media, but they always talk bad about the Knicks. Blah, blah, blah. No, and this. there's not the case no more. So you have to look at it
well,
that way.
Stephen A. Still,
But we can't just look at Stephen A. because he's the face of the ESPN and he's probably the biggest Nick fan, you want to say, with all that, and Spike Lee. We just can't look at those two and be like, that's exactly what the media is saying about the New York Knicks.
Man, we got Kendrick Perkins on our side. It's all good.
We got Kendrick. People, and you know what's crazy? Knicks hated Kendrick Perkins, and then he started talking good about us, and they were like, hold up. All right, we got someone on our side. And then people now suddenly everyone loves Kendrick Perkins. Every Knicks fan loves Kendrick Perkins. So like you can complain that, okay, maybe this team is mid. Maybe we are cap. Maybe we are good as a 6 seed. And I've said this. I think this team maybe at good is a 6 seed, and people could be like, well, yes. And like Omar said, it's always should be, you should always strive to build a championship level ball club. But then there's the other side. And like I just mentioned, like, okay, guys, we're actually playing good basketball. Like, would you rather us be where the Pistons are right now or where the Oklahoma City are? Like, as far as not as far as like future, I'm just talking about record wise, like bottom of the barrel. Like, is that fun to watch? Like, we went through that in 2019 and that was miserable. And then we lost a lot. And then to just pray that the lottery goes your way. And then you have to wait till the lottery. And then
it's not like the NFL, man. You're not guaranteed the number one pick. That's what kills me about it. It's still only a 15% chance, flattened lottery odds.
Less.
You may love
12.
Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, 12. Excuse me. Yeah. So you may love Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson. If you're the worst team in the league, no guarantee you get either of those guys. You might end up with 3
picks. And
picks.
it happened to us already. We wanted Zion.
Look,
we don't get Zion. We want Ja. And guess what? And listen, RJ's solid, but he's not Ja. And
but Chris, you could attest to this. This draft is not that draft.
And I know. That's what I'm saying to fans. I've told fans, I'm like, and I'm always tweeting, like, guys, check out Jet Howard.
Yeah.
I saw that one. Guy from Pepperdine. I forgot his name. That's blanking on me. But there's so much talent in this draft. T.G. Jackson, the guy I absolutely love. I would love him in New York. He probably won't be there, but and we got 2 picks in there, so we can make something happen. Add a player to that. If we want to attach, top it to a couple picks and move up, we can do that. So there's talent. You don't have to tank to do it. And it's been shown. Look at all the teams that win championships. They ain't tanking. They did it the right way. They found the right players that fit, scouted right. And that's been the Knicks issue. They've drafted solid, but they've probably taken some safe players and all that. And we've missed big time Kevin Knox and Ntilikina and all that. But you can find good players and find good all-star level players in the late lottery or in the 20s. It's happened.
Let's see this year's draft, NBA draft. But it's gonna be. I feel like the Knicks are gonna definitely be very aggressive draft night. But that we gotta definitely talk before then.
Oh yeah, of course. So speaking of being aggressive and all that, we got the trade deadline kind of approaching up, and the Knicks look like, with where they're standing right now in the 6th seed, playing good ball right now, that they're probably going to be buyers at the deadline. And they definitely need some to bolster up the bench and all that, and maybe get some wings, some scoring wings, some creators. That seems to be a very big weakness, is they don't have no wing creators. You think Cam would be that, but obviously Cam's no longer, he's not even in a rotation. So you need someone who could be like a Cam, what we think Cam could be and all that. So are there names? Are there positions? What do you guys feel like the Knicks should do? Or do you even think they should even buy? Maybe they should stay put, or maybe you should sell some assets. You guys tell me, what do you think the Knicks should be looking at the trade deadline?
Well, we talked about the blown leads that we do in the 4th, and I was looking around. Like, you have so many teams that they just could get hot from 3-point line. Like, you saw Buddy Hield, he was letting it fly, and you just see Milwaukee Bucks, they just got hot, but we don't really have that because our offense is just running it through Julius, running it through Brunson, heavy ISO, and if somebody's not feeling it from 3, we're just not coming back. So I definitely want a microwave scorer. That's what I'm looking for. I thought about Malik Beasley, who we talked about earlier in the show. Crazy enough, I really like him. He has a club option for next year, $15 million. So he's not even really a rental. So the thing is, dealing with Danny Ainge again, who knows what that would be like. And I was thinking about a Gary Trent Jr. as well, but that's a rental, But these are like microwave scorers that I'm thinking, me with the Dominican Army, I would definitely saw that Duarte report, and Duarte would do good here. Tibbs will love him, just long, lanky. So those are 3 names. I'm looking for a microwave score for the Knicks to get a microwave score. But listen, I think the Knicks, they shouldn't give up assets to get these guys. It has to be like a fair deal. Maybe one of those lottery protected or something like that. But it really depends on the price. Right now, the chatter around the league is that there's too many buyers, not enough sellers. But I'm sure as we get to the trade deadline, you see the Pacers, they might fall off, so they might change what they do. So I want to see closer to the deadline, but those are 3 names I'm definitely trying to target.
Yeah, it's definitely a backup wing situation where you want to get somebody who can generate offense off the bench, because that's the big hole right now with this team, right? Is when that bench unit comes in, the offense kind of stops, and we see that with struggles with Deuce, and you're kind of relying on Quickly to do some things, but I know like a lot of people have mentioned Alex Caruso recently as kind of like a guy that the Knicks might be targeting. Seems like a guy that Tibbs would like, hard-nosed defender, but again, not great offensively, right? But yeah, I think that's the way they need to look at it. Also looking at getting rid of some of these guys who aren't in your rotation right now. Cam, of course, which we mentioned. Derrick Rose, seeing if a contender wants to, throw something at acquiring him as their backup point guard. And I don't know what the market for Evan Fournier is right now, but I don't think it's high. But definitely when you're talking about Rose and Cam, I think that needs to be the priority for them, is actually to sell off in the hopes of getting some sort of backup wing right now. And the names of Triple M mentioned, I think those are all good guys to target. I think Caruso will be somebody that might be in play as well.
No, yeah, for sure. That's definitely a Malik Beasley type. Is someone that's very interesting. Who's a Terrence Ross type. From Orlando. He's someone that we've been linked to for a little bit. He's always in
the rumor.
It's like him and Miles Turner are always in trade. Yeah. But like I think Triple M, you said this before. There's a lot of teams that are in it that might be thinking about buying. And I remember thinking this, before the season, with teams with Wemby being the big fish that everybody wants, that maybe teams that are even like close to the play-in, maybe a game or two out, that maybe they're like, okay, is it worth going after the 10th seed and trying to get in the play-in to be an 8 seed and get bounced out by Milwaukee or Philly and lose out on a chance to get a Victor Wembanyama or maybe a Scoot? I thought we would see a lot more teams maybe like, all right, well, we're just gonna punt and forget about that play. Who cares? I rather lose a chance to make the playoffs and at least get a chance to be in the lottery and win on Victor. But it seems like there's only like Detroit's really bad, Orlando, Houston. Those teams are probably but there's a lot of teams that still are in it, and just the feeling, the vibe, and what I've been hearing around the league, that teams are going to try to go for it and try to, which I was surprised because I was up. So I think it's going to be a tough market to try to get our guys, and that can cause a little bit of a bidding. And we've seen what the Knicks have done in the past, just their track record with Leon and company, that they're not willing to go above and beyond to get their guy, even if that is their person. Because if else the case, we would have Donovan Mitchell on the New York Knicks. So I think, if Terrence Ross or Beasley is in play, if it's not the price that they're looking for, they're not going to overpay for someone like that, especially for like even a guy who comes off the bench and can give you 15 a game. I don't think the Knicks see, and especially with, teams above them that are probably more willing to give up more to try to, get to be a conference championship or a finals team.
Hey, but they gave up a first for Cam. They gave up a first for Cam. So you don't know what they think.
That didn't work out the way they wanted to. Definitely.
But
I think they saw upside and like Beasley, I think what they saw with Cam was like, okay, maybe we could fix him and he can be the star, the 20-point guy. I think with Beasley, he's going to get you 18 a game. He is what he is, right? With Terrence Ross also, like they're microwave scorers.
Yeah, but I think that'll be a move to help them this season, But I feel like a lot of people trying to save their jobs. It's easy for us fans to just be like, "Oh, this team should just tank. The Knicks should just tank." Tom Thibodeau, he doesn't know if he's gonna ever get a head coaching
about
job.
tanking.
He don't know if he's ever gonna get a head coaching job again in the NBA. He is not gonna coach to lose. I'm sorry, you know what I mean. So I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. Like people don't want to lose their jobs. So like the tanking is not.
This ain't 2K, guys. This ain't 2K. We just can't be trading people.
I was just playing 2K and
real life. Like
I lost the whole season. Yeah, you see teams that are really bad. They're on line. Like the Spurs. They're doing bad. But like Greg Popovich and this whole front office, they're working in lockstep. They know exactly what they're gonna do. There's disconnect here in New York. Some people wanted Tom Thibodeau fired last year. We heard those rumors
3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So
like just when we before the win streak, before that went, that wasn't too long ago. Like the OKC game, perfect example.
Now the Dallas game, I thought he was gone. I thought he was gone at that Dallas game.
They dropped 150, right? 150 on us.
45.
We blew the lid. Like they blew us at the breaks, and I was like, oh, he ain't lasting till tonight. Like they thought it was over, and it just switched. So like, that's a great point you brought up, Triple M. Like it's easy for fans and all that to be like, oh, we got to trade this, trade that, tank this, tank that. It's like, well, first of all, the players don't have that mindset, right? It's like in football, like people got mad when the Texans, right? Texans, they won that game. Oh, why would they do that? It's like, are you serious? Like, players don't give a damn about tanking. First of all, some of them probably won't even be there, so they don't care about the number one pick and all that. And Lovie Smith thought they may have saved his job. Obviously, it didn't. But like, they don't care about the way it's because obviously as fans we're invested. We're fans for life, right?
Yeah.
Lovie Smith was a fan of the Texans for that year, right? And he wasn't thinking about we should lose. I'm going to play the third stringer so we can lose this game and get the number one pick. He don't even know we're gonna be there.
Exactly.
So like same thing with Tibbs. This could be Tibbs' last because he's one of the last of the last era of coaches. That might not get that chance because we're seeing it's getting younger and younger coaches, right? We're seeing a youth movement in not just in the league as players, but with coaches. So for Tibbs, he's a dinosaur in this league. This might be it for him. So like. We want to tank it. It's like, well, he's not going to play that way. That's not his style. He's not going to try to tank and play the young. Oh, we should just play all the young guys. And no. He wants to win. So if Derrick Rose is going to help him win, or Taj Gibson, or whoever who we had in the past is going to help him win. That's who he's going to play. That's what he's been since became a head coach in this league. So we have to. I'm glad you brought that up because like that's a major thing. Like we want the tank. Well, guess what? He doesn't. So like sometimes you just gotta like, all right, this is the style. This is what we are. And guess what? We're 5 games over. Let's be happy. Let's be happy. like let's just be happy for once.
I'm happy. I'm definitely happy.
Like we're over 5. We're winning basketball games. Yes. Could it be better? Of course, guys. It could always be better. Could we have Donovan Mitchell? Get over it. It's over with. He's not here. He is with Cleveland. Get over it. All right. And people will go back and forth and all that. Like, oh, well, we should have gave up this. Oh, I didn't want to give up all that. I don't want to give up. It's over with. We got Brunson. Randall's hooping. Quentin Grind's playing good. IQ's playing better. Let's be happy, guys. Let's be happy.
We can't be happy. We're never happy.
In the Wizards. We could just be in purgatory and have all these bad contracts and all that. It could be worse.
We could never be happy in New York. We're complaining about Isaiah Hardenstein now. The ninth man in the rotation.
Remember, guys, at one point there was a big portion, especially in the beginning of the season, and they're like, he should be starting over.
Yes.
He had a couple good games, and he had a couple nice passes, and I remember telling you like he's a nice player, but he's a bench player. There's a reason why he's a bench player, guys. He's better off in that role. That he can't play 20. And then now people are like, Jericho Sims should be playing it, and all that. And then they'll do the same thing with Jericho when Jericho starts, and because Jericho is a freak athlete, but like he's still learning how to play. He's still super raw. Like we just can't throw him in like that. Especially with bigs. You got to be patient with bigs. We see bigs around the league. Like we're still waiting for Wiseman to finally develop. Ayton just started really to develop. Like bigs take a while to develop. Cat took a while to develop to get his full game round up. It takes a while with you. You have to be patient with him. You can't just throw Jericho in there and just expect them to get 20 and 20 and all this and block shots and all that and guard, people off on pick and rolls and all that. Like just let's simmer down and all that. Like people want Jericho to start over Mitch Robinson.
Yeah.
Now everybody loves Mitch Robinson again. It's like
stop that. Yeah.
It's just like the back and forth. Like guys, just stop, enjoy the game. We get the win, be happy.
Chris is dropping jokes right now, man. Got me
dead. We see this all the time on the timeline, and it's just like people arguing over this. Like we win by 20, and they're like, "Oh, Julius Randle's selfish."
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, guys. He had 35.
Hey, man, there's a no filter in Twitter. You know
he has one. I mean, yes, he gets frustrating watching at times, but it's not like it was last year or his first year with the Knicks.
Right.
No.
It's like he's helping us win games. Like, oh, he's a stat stuffer. I mean, we're winning 5 games under 500. If he wasn't stat stuffing, we would be 10 games under 500, and you guys would be going crying more.
Yeah, it's a crazy place. The topics we see it. Like I said earlier in the show, that second round thing took me out. I'm like, bro, I was signed up to get killed, and I haven't seen second round.
The Sacramento Kings haven't made the playoffs in like almost 20 years. They would take a playoff spot in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I
even last year,
you just can't settle for that. And you want, like Sacramento Kings fans, I'm sure they want to win a championship, but you got to get somewhere to build. And as for the Knicks, if we want to get whoever's the next guy who's available, whoever that name is, we don't know who it is now, but there's going to be someone that's going to be like, I don't want to be where I'm at. And we're seeing some situations. I won't mention names because I don't want to, but we're seeing some teams that you're like, okay, that situation is not as hot as it used to be. Okay, that's something to look at. The Knicks put themselves in position to be a respectable team. Now, we've been saying this for a while. Like, you put yourself in better position as a team, a respectable franchise. We've been a joke for a long time. We've been a butt of joke for a long time. We got to put ourselves in position to get there. And, so far it's been.
It's fun. It's funny you mentioned the Kings because last year when they traded Halliburton for Sabonis, everybody was killing the Kings. Even Kings fans, they wanted.
I killed them hard. I killed
them as well. Yeah.
They're lighting the beam up. They're just yelling, "Light the beam!"
Yeah.
Everybody when they won that game
solves everything, man.
Yeah.
You win games, and just see with the Kings. The Kings have been. The Kings are probably worse than us. It's just they're in Sacramento. So if they were the Los Angeles Kings. They'd be getting killed the same way the Knicks are, but they play in Sacramento. So, it doesn't.
Nobody cares.
Nobody really cares. But now they're winning games, and you're seeing guys that they have, we're seeing De'Aaron Fox. At one point, we said maybe he's we do this with a lot of players too. We call them empty stat players, right? We did this with Booker. We've done this with a lot of players in the league. And then when they actually have a good situation, we said, okay, maybe they were just in a bad situation. Yeah. The team was just trash, or they had the bad coach. Like they got themselves. They had Luke Walton, so if you have Luke Walton on your coach, I can't expect you to have success in the league. So that was the best thing they did was get rid of him. Addition by some, he was horrible. I couldn't believe that they allowed this man to be a head coach.
Yeah,
they got themselves a real coach
after seeing what he did with LA.
Bad coaches keep on getting good opportunities.
He got his job for being a fill-in for Steve Kerr, Kevin Durant. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. I'm sorry, you're gonna hire him because he filled in for Steve Kerr.
In their prime.
We could just sit back and be like, all right, Kevin.
Because you watched the machine run and made sure you didn't crash it. All of a sudden, we want to give him a head coach.
Do is not crash the car. Like, all right, you got it. You got the Lambo. Just drive it, bro.
He was just there calling timeouts whenever. Timeout.
You tired? Plays? I don't know. You 7 foot.
Pick and roll for Steph.
Right, this is what we do. Looney, pick. Draymond, pick. Steph. Come on now. Shoot that thing. Kevin Durant, you're 7 foot. You can shoot that thing. Klay, come on now, baby.
Do your thing.
It's like, bro, and addition by subtraction, they kind of ran it, but it shows you that winning here. Sacramento fans are really hyped right now. They have
the beam
thing, they got their thing and all that. It's good. That's a good thing. And then Knicks fans should be happy.
Man, that's a fan base that deserves some success, though, man. We've had it bad, of course, but they've had it really bad.
They've had it worse.
Man, we need success. We need success. We're not giving no Kings right now. We're not showing love to no Kings.
Man. It's okay.
It's the state of the New York Knicks.
They're the West.
State of the New York Knicks.
It's just showing you those fans. You don't hear that fan base, the crying and all. They just happy they're winning and all that. And you gotta get somewhere. and showing, and that's just what I want with the fans. Just enjoy it. It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. You know, we don't have our star, and maybe that's not going to help us win a championship right now. But we got to get somewhere to get to that step, and you know, we're winning games.
24-19. We got Detroit tomorrow. Omar, you gonna be in the building?
I'm gonna be in the building. Yep.
Okay, we got
the brakes off that bad Detroit.
Yeah.
Another team with a terrible head coach.
Hey, you know something different this year? Like sometimes even that Bucks game I went, and it's like, I think the Knicks could win this game. You know, you haven't felt like that. Yeah, you haven't felt like that in a while. Like I'm like, we can beat the Bucks, and listen, we should have beat the Bucks. It's just that late game execution. But I felt before the game like, hey man, and now like you see Detroit, like usually I'll be like, oh, this is a trap game. We might lose. We don't see that anymore with this team. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like Chris just said, we're gonna beat the brakes out of them, keep it pushing. We got Monday, we got Toronto. Let's see how we do. They have our number, so let's get it. I'm hyped. I'm ready to do that viral video again outside of Madison Square Garden. It's coming soon. Flags is gonna be flying. We're gonna do part 2 is gonna go crazy. We're gonna go crazy.
We need that trip. We need that. But you know, good times. Where we've won 6 out of the last 7 after having that 5-game losing streak, and then after that 8-game win streak. So, you know, it's good times right now, and I think we should just enjoy it. Whatever happens, and you know, that's why the off season's there, and we'll try to get this team better and all that. But that's for another time. But right now we're enjoying it. 5 games over. Knicks playing solid ball right now. Next game against Detroit, they should absolutely just beat the brakes out of this bad Detroit team. You know, they got a nice stretch where they could win some games before they play a tough stretch against Cleveland, Boston, Brooklyn, you know, LA, Miami. You know, you got Detroit.
Test, man. That's the measuring stick right there. You know, see how you do against those teams.
We got to go in hot. We got to keep winning. We got to stack up these W's so we could go in there hot and feeling good. All
winnable games. All winnable before that Cleveland game, and that Cleveland game is winnable too. And that's a good thing to, like we just mentioned before. Like we could every game we go into, I think we all as fans are like, we could win this game if these things if plan A, B, and C go the way we want, and their plan A doesn't go, we could definitely beat, you know, the best of the best in the league. But we got a nice stretch where we're playing some teams that are definitely beatable. Washington in there, Atlanta. I just mentioned Detroit. Before we play a nice stretch where against Brooklyn, Cleveland. You know, obviously KD won't play, and that's tough. But you know what it is. And that's another thing people complain about. It's like, oh, we got these wins against, you know, Fortunate, and it feels like the bubble year, you know, where we were winning a lot of games against teams. But hey, it's not our fault.
Other teams play them.
Wins, guys.
Other teams play them too. Other teams play them too. And then, you know, we got to get these wins. But guys, this is a fun show. I appreciate you, gentlemen, for dropping in and let talking Knicks for this last hour. It's been a pleasure, fellas. Always salute.
Yes. So before we sign off, this show is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the sponsor of the Off the Ball Network. Make sure to use promo code Off the Ball Network, all caps. And get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. You're the one place for all your ticket needs. I know a lot of people at the network have used it, and they've been a great sponsor for us. That's promo code Off-Ball Network, all caps, first purchase, $20 off. So $25 ticket, but $5 on a ticket. Enjoy the game. Take your lady out to the opera or whatever, ballet, whatever. College basketball season. You got the NFL playoffs. Go spend that $20 and you help out the network. So, but before we sign off, fellas, tell the people where they can find you on social media and any projects you got coming up. Omar?
Yeah, you catch me on Twitter at OmarZHRN. Catch all my written pieces on offtheballnetwork.com. I got my own Knicks podcast, Worldwide Knicks, with a couple of friends of mine from overseas, Rafa and Alex. What's good? So follow us on all platforms and on YouTube.
Yes, sir. Triple M.
Man, you already know the vibes, man. Triple M in the building with my guys, Chris and Omar. You already know, find me, Triple M, what's up, on Twitter and Instagram. You know, follow my podcast, Knicks Fans Wild, and I'm in there with Don Juan. And we're going to cook up. You know, there's a lot of Knicks content coming up. Trade deadline, that's going to be goody. And we're going to talk to Chris and keep on building the Off the Ball Network. Make sure to holler there. We got Ken, Mo, the whole gang, man. We could keep going down the list, man. You already know about Triple M.
Yep, for sure. Make sure to check out Omar, Triple M, they do a lot of great work for the network. And follow everyone at the network. Do a lot of great work. Follow the website, offtheballnetwork.com. Follow us on Twitter, OTB_network. Make sure to follow me, Off the Ball Pod, on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. Follow on Instagram, Off the Ball Pod. Follow if you're on YouTube. Leave us a sub. Leave us a like. Comment. Let us know how you feel about the Knicks this year. But on that note, be well. Be safe. Take care. Let's go Knicks.